When you've gardened long enough, you eventually hit that moment where your soil just stops cooperating. It dries too fast, or it stays wet forever, or it compacts like old clay tiles, or it refuses to feed your plants no matter how much fertilizer you throw at it. Every serious gardener has been there. And today, I want to share the shortcut I rely on when I want my soil to wake up, recharge, and get productive again without back-breaking labor or expensive fixes. It comes down to 3 ingredients: simple, cheap, and easy to apply even if you call yourself a lazy gardener, but still expect top-tier results. The first soil-fixing ingredient is partially decomposed organic matter because it acts fast and wakes up dead soil. The biggest mistake gardeners make is adding fully finished compost to severely underperforming soil. Finished compost is fantastic, but when soil is struggling, it needs something more biologically active, something still in transition. That's where partially decomposed organic matter shines. This includes half-done compost from the corner of your pile, last season's leaf mold that hasn't fully broken down, or the shredded grass leaf mix that's only halfway through decomposition. Partially decomposed organic matter introduces living microbial processes into the soil. When you add it, you're not just adding nutrients, you're adding activity. That activity creates heat, movement, and aeration as microbes continue breaking material down right inside your garden beds. A practical ratio is 1 part half-done compost to 2 parts soil. For containers, go lighter, 1 part to 3 parts soil so it doesn't overwhelm the root zone. For in-ground beds, I like to trench it in by making shallow 10 to 15 centimeter deep channels, filling them with the material and covering with soil. Within a few weeks, you'll notice the soil becoming softer and more workable because the breakdown process creates micro-tunnels and pockets for air and water. If your soil is extremely lifeless, repeat this method at the start and end of each season. This one ingredient alone can revive beds that looked hopeless. The second ingredient is bioactive carbon because it stabilizes nutrients and repairs soil structure. When I say bioactive carbon, I'm talking about natural carbon sources that not only persist in the soil, but also support microbial communities. My top choices are charred husks, crushed biochar, or even the fine charcoal crumbs left at the bottom of wood-burning stoves, as long as they're pure, untreated carbon. While many gardeners throw charcoal in randomly, the real magic happens when you charge it. Raw carbon absorbs nutrients, which is great long-term, but in the short term, it can temporarily tie up nitrogen. To avoid that, soak your carbon in something nutritious before adding it to your soil. I use a simple mix: 1 liter of water with 2 handfuls of manure, compost tea, worm tea, or even fermented plant juice. Let your carbon soak until it darkens, ideally 24 hours. After charging, you can apply it at roughly 1 part carbon to 20 parts soil. That's strong enough to improve nutrient retention, yet gentle enough for seedlings. In compact or clay-heavy soils, I double the dose, especially for long-term growing beds like fruit patches and raised beds. Over time, this bioactive carbon creates a more open soil structure, helps moderate pH swings, and anchors nutrients so they don't leach away during heavy rains. You end up with soil that holds fertility more efficiently, meaning you need less fertilizer and your plants stay nourished longer. The third ingredient is a microbial accelerator, because soil doesn't change unless something drives the transformation. You can add organic matter and carbon all day long, but without microbes, nothing truly improves. That's why I rely on a simple microbial accelerator, a homemade brew that jump-starts microbial action without fancy equipment or ingredients. All you need is a handful of finished compost, a tablespoon of unsulfured molasses, and a liter of non-chlorinated water. Mix it, shake it, and let it sit loosely covered for 24 to 48 hours. You're not brewing a fermented fertilizer here. You're simply waking up the microbes that already exist in the compost. The molasses gives them a quick boost so they multiply rapidly. Once ready, dilute that liter with 9 liters of water. Apply it directly to your soil after you've added your partially decomposed organic matter and bioactive carbon. The microbes immediately colonize the fresh material and spread through the soil structure. If you have stubborn beds that refuse to loosen or absorb water, repeat the application weekly for 3 weeks. If you're preparing new beds, apply it once during mixing and again right after planting. This microbial accelerator speeds up decomposition, boosts nutrient cycling, and makes your soil recover in weeks instead of months. Bringing the 3 ingredients together is what makes this shortcut truly powerful. On their own, each ingredient helps. Together, they transform soil with minimal effort. Start by adding your partially decomposed organic matter and mixing it roughly into the top 10 to 15 centimeters. You don't need to till. Simple incorporation with a fork is enough. Then sprinkle or fold in your charged carbon. Finish by soaking the bed with your microbial accelerator until the soil is evenly moist. Give the bed 7 to 10 days if you're planting heavy feeders, or plant immediately if you're working with seedlings that tolerate active soil, such as leafy greens, herbs, and hardy ornamentals. Over the next few weeks, you'll see earthworms returning, water infiltration improving, and plants responding with steady, consistent growth instead of struggling. This 3-ingredient shortcut works for sandy soil, clay, soil-tired garden beds, raised beds, no-dig plots, and even large containers. It's simple, fast, and doesn't require turning over the whole garden. If you've been fighting your soil for years, these ingredients shift the battle in your favor. If you found this guide useful, and you want more practical shortcuts tested directly in the garden, make sure you subscribe to Garden Guru and share this video with someone who's tired of wrestling with stubborn soil.